All right. Bars and Grays, episode 8. Who would have thought? Who
I'm
would have
going to
thought?
start every episode.
I am going to, because it
Okay.
feels. Is it episode 8? Or
It is.
It is. Okay, cool. For a moment, I thought it was 9. I was like,
No, now you're just pushing it.
oh, yeah, true.
He,
So,
he's actually so excited every time we get to do this because it's the only time he talks to people. That's why.
that's so true, though. That's sad, but true. So, Yaz, you want to do the honors for tonight? Since you
Please.
brought the guest.
That is true, actually, because you said that we should have someone to talk about the logs,
Yep.
and I was throwing some nets to the sea, as we say, and I think I started with Uvu, and then I went to another person, and to another person, and to another person, and then like all roads lead to Rome. I got into talk with Sosmashy, and here he is today, talking about the logs as a log god.
Yes, that's me. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Smashy, the god. Thanks for being here, man. We're very excited to hear your, inputs on Warcraft Logs and what we should be looking for. I don't know if you want to take a few moments to introduce yourself. Basically, like what you're doing in World of Warcraft, your history, maybe where you are right now, guild and stuff.
Yeah, of course I can do. Yep. Hello, everyone. My name's Sosmashy. My friends call me Smashy. Friends, in inverted commas. I've played WoW for many years. Mainly a warrior for most of them, but I've got many alts, at least this time round. Because the phase is so easy, is what I'll say. To maybe not for everyone, but yeah. I'm really enjoying the game. I've done many different things in my career. Sometimes it's more hardcore than others. Sometimes it's more casual. Back in original Wrath, I got Death's Demise title, which is Sever First Yogg Zero. That was very fun. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm in Sholazar Silverbacks. Like I said, I'm playing a warrior at the moment. Really enjoying it there. And yeah, here to talk about logs.
Hashtag gorillas. Nice. I love the game.
Yeah.
It's actually the first episode of Grey Parses that we're going to talk about Grey Parses. So,
yeah, that's true.
Cool, yeah.
My Grey Parses. Let's start with that.
I'm only here because of the name.
The name Grey Parses? Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, let's
not talk about. No,
let's not. No.
You said you played a healer, right? Healer passes barely count.
Yeah, but I also did try my alt mage. That
Dude, you've only played for like 2 weeks. Like, come on.
with 0 parses.
It's time.
Yeah, but healer parses always make my day or night.
Yeah, because you're so good in those.
Are they a meme, Smashing? Are they actually
healer passes? I mean, it's a tricky subject, right? I mean, we can speak about DPS, healer and tank passes for sure. Obviously, I played most time. I play DPS. I occasionally tank. I don't play healers. I've never really played a healer. Healers are very tricky because it mostly depends on what you're assigned, right? Like if you're assigned something that doesn't pump, no AoE healing, stuff like that, then that's obviously going to affect your pass. Also, group comp, if you're running more healers, you're obviously going to not. So for sure, healer passes are difficult. You can use logs for other things, but obviously we can get onto that. We should probably start with explaining what logs are, I guess. I like the 5-year-old thing you guys do.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Yeah, so as our resident expert on the subject, could you explain to everybody what logs are and how should they be used, according to you at least? And explain to us, like, we're also 5-year-olds, because we kind of are, honestly.
I'm gonna take a shot at the 5-year-olds first, because I love that from the episodes I've listened to. It's very good. So logs, 5-year-old take. So if we can imagine a small children's place, where you learn, kindergarten or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
Let's say we've got a competition of all the children taking part, and there's a wall where you have to put blocks through, and you get a score based on how many blocks you get through correctly.
Mhm.
So the person who gets the most blocks through, let's call him 100. That he's 100, and then let's call the person who puts the least 0, and then everyone in between those numbers obviously gets a percent. So that's basically what we're doing with passing, right? Like we're ranking people based on where they score percentage wise within that. That's when people say like, I want to be the best. You're looking for 100 pass. That's the most DPS if you like. But yeah, that's generally what the logs are for, I suppose, for rankings and things like that. But obviously there's that's the mini game of like passing for logs. But there's also it's just incredible amount of statistics recorded with everything, buffs at the time of cooldowns, at the time of death, damage during a phase. Are you going to push a phase based on more damage? So yes, that's my 5-year-old take.
Hey, I like him. He took the challenge head on. He delivered.
I want
I
to
like
know
him.
how long did you actually plan for this?
I've
That was
There's a-
okay. You
I've
did
got
more
one.
homework.
I've got one line for that. I was like, right, I'm just gonna wing it, right? But the block, I like the blocks thing. That was good. Yeah, I was thinking about that for a little bit.
All right. All
Can
right.
you join us on the next episode as well? That's gonna be how to make a podcast.
Well, yeah, that would help, honestly.
Probably know a little less about that.
So, looking at yours at the moment,
I under the spotlight. Oh god, okay.
Are you spying on people?
of course, all day, every day. What are you talking about? You're pretty high up there. What does it mean for you to be like? So, like you said, you're playing Fury Warrior, like so. Say a 97 on Twin Valkyr. How a 97 is pretty high. That's how I understand it. So you're doing like better than what is it? Like how can I translate that in statistics? Well, you're doing a lot better than the majority of people. But what does the number mean? Does it mean that, this is your peak, or are there things that you can do to get from 97 to like a 99, or is it like, way beyond your own skill and it relies basically on kill times and whatnot?
Sure. So yeah. So we'll start by saying that the way the logs work is that the combat log is recorded for each time you enter combat during a raid. And then obviously you've obviously mentioned Twin Valkyrie as my pass on that. So it will take the start time of the boss to the end time of the boss and record all the damage, all the events, basically, all the buffs done, everything that's recorded in the combat log. I actually looked. I to be honest, I did think about this a little bit because you asked some difficult questions for the for the sort of what we're going to speak about. But it made me think about like why the log, like what order the logs came in, because I was almost interested. Was it the combat log that came first? Was it because to support the third party add-on, which obviously doesn't make any sense, but the combat log obviously records everything, and then we get to what you said. The increases in kill time. So obviously the shorter the boss fight, the higher uptime of cooldowns, if you like, to a certain point. So there are ways to increase damage logs by reducing the fight time. That's generally a very good way to do it. That's why people class stack. That's why people drop healers, drop tanks that push the boundaries to do that. In terms of ways to up it, there's obviously, yes, beyond my skill, I've obviously passed 100 in the past, 99s in the past. So there's ways to do it. You just need a guild that can support that, and you need to do some research and just min max your cooldowns basically, and sort of get there's the luck aspect as well of like your crit variance, if you like. So the shorter the fight, also the crit variance can obviously if I hit a dummy for an hour, my crit is going to be, it's going to normalize, right? Like I say, I've got 50% crit. I should have 50% crit at the end. The longer I hit that dummy for, I should get 50% crit in theory. Right. But if you reduce the time, obviously your crit variance can vary, and if you get a higher one, then that's obviously going to result in an extra pass. So yes, your kill times are the best way to, or some of the best ways for certain classes to increase your pass for sure. And the number, just quickly. So the number means that if I'm 97%, that means that I'm top 3 or 4%, if you like, of players that have passed on that boss in general. So that's where the percentage number comes from.
Is it for the past 2 weeks or in general, like ever since the phase started?
So it's ever since the phase started. There is a 2-week. I'm pretty sure there's a 2-week timeline as well that you can view. But I think that's generally when you first. I think it's when you first upload it. There's definitely I recall a 2-week window for something, but I can't remember what it is.
Right, I see. Would you, though, back to the kill time question? Would you say that? Well, obviously we can't speak for every class, but let's just speak for the classes that you actually play, right? So you play a warrior. I know that you play a mage. I'm not sure what other classes that you probably play as alts. Would you say that someone who's, let's say, parsing depends on the fight, but yeah, parsing like a 60, would the difference between a 60 and an 80, a 90, maybe, would it be kill time, or is it skill involved? I'm just trying to figure out where the individual skill is when it comes to the difference, to bridging the gap.
No, so that's a really good question. So, in my personal opinion, 60 is probably a little low to be blaming it on kill time. I'm sorry to say to everyone that's a little more hopeful. Right. But obviously, there's obviously you can still, kill time will affect something massively, but it generally it decreases the amount of mistakes that person can make probably. So it would definitely make you look better, but it's not. Kill times aren't going to carry you to like epic part. Like I think 85 or 80 is maybe purple passing. It's probably not going to carry you there. I guess you need to have some sort of skill. You need to be pushing the right buttons. Probably, I'd say.
I have seen as a Dad Guild GM when we have brought in people that have great parsers or have cream parsers, and then they join to the guild raid and they parse actually like blue parsers on the very next raid when they join to the guild. Is that because of the kill timer is higher than maybe the previous guild, but usually those are pugs that they run with? So is that only because of the kill time, or is that about the raid comp, or just pure luck, or not interested to parse?
Probably all the things. Tactics as well. Maybe tactics are cleaner. The way you're killing bosses might be a bit better. The calls from your raid leader, like instantly focus this, do that. Like it's probably a combination of all the things. Honestly, there's so much that goes into parsing that can increase. I really love logs, to be honest, because the self-improvement factor of being able to use them is very good, and it's part of the reason why I think the game's it's got longevity for me, because it's not like, because if you think about it, if you kill a boss or you get your loot, what's the point in doing the boss anymore? In some ways, objectively speaking, exactly. Like a lot of people are just there for loot. Why even play anymore? But the parsing adds a little bit of a mini game, and wanting to get better, which is very interesting. Of course, it's a factor for longevity of the game for me, at least. Anyway,
it's important what you just said. Like, can we agree that it's basically a tool to use and challenge yourself and get better at what you're doing, and not strictly a tool to measure your EP-ness with other people? I mean, you can do that, but that's not why it's there. right?
Exactly. Yep. It's a tool for looking at statistics of the raid, improving kill times, all sorts of things. It's it can be done for all those things. It's very good. But yes, the primary tool is it's a tool for getting just looking to see how you can improve as a guild and as a person as well.
So what do you think that the community, and I may be wrong here, but this is what I have seen. What do you think that the community is either very toxic towards, Warcraft Logs, in the sense that they believe that they destroyed the game, or they're very toxic but like pro logs, they're just, logs mean everything. Your logs suck, you're a bad player, I'm not going to take you to this raid, you know what I mean? Why do you think there's this almost bipolar mentality over them?
This is a funny question, because it happens, right? Like, people are either, they go, logs suck, you should do mechanics, and that is it. Focus on, don't worry about your damage, do the things right, because obviously the issue with parsing is that when it becomes something someone only wants to do, we've got a problem at the moment with a nub, for instance, where the ads on the boss have been capped on passes to 600k damage. As soon as you hit that threshold on the ads and a nub, last boss of Trial Grand Crusade, you no longer get credit on the passes for cleave anymore. The damage on the ads is it doesn't mean anything to your pass. So the issue is that people are stopping killing. You have to kill the ads, right? There's a time you have to kill the ads before the next set come. There's windows where you have to get rid of the ads. But if people are focused on passing, that's potential cause a wipe. And I think there was a Reddit post where it was causing wipes and costing people capes because people were trying to pass. So there's definitely, yes, there's an issue with one or the other, right? Like, I always say this, so you can do both things. You can do damage and you can do mechanics. Now, the best people will do both of those. And then obviously it's a scale, right? There's people that will be more passing focused, and there's people who will be more mechanic focused and not care too much about damage. I think the best people can probably do both. I think there's a time for doing both as well. Everything's situational. For instance, on twins, the hunters and shadow priests have got a slightly harder time because they're having to soak light orbs with the current meta tactic. And they obviously, that affects their passes, and that's unfortunate. But for me, my attitude would be, if I was doing that, and I've sometimes done it on my mage, where I've had to soak, you just have to eat it right, and you just try and be better than you were last week. So you're not sort of playing against the top passes, you're playing against yourself. But yeah, the answer is, there's ways to play the game. I think a bit of both mindset is probably better to have than one or the other. But yeah, you're not going to kill bosses if you don't do mechanics right.
Well, you heard it, folks.
If you look at the logs from, let's say, there's any people coming to the guild or whatever for any interest, do you just look at the first page and see the average and the best parses, or do you actually check the history, if the person got better or got worse, or why there's a sudden gray parse, let's say, in one fight? Do you go by to see, why this is only green if the person died, or do you just assume that this person sucks?
Yeah, I think it is a good question. I think so. I think people look at the number for sure, 100%. That is the first thing people look at, and if it's low, you then go deeper. If it's high, you can give like a bit more. Okay, this guy knows what they're doing. They've got a little more of an idea. They can obviously push buttons. But if it's lower, then you go deeper, and then you'll say like you'll look at the rest of the passes, probably in that specific raid where they got that pass, and be like, everyone's passing low here. Maybe this was a pug, or maybe it was, maybe it's just not the best guild. If it's grey, that's tricky because grey is very low. Right. You'd probably look at gear then, because the logs show it. The logs are so good; they just show everything, right? Like the summary shows the gear sets that were used in that specific raid. There's other things like if you know the class, you can look at the rotation by going into damage done, timelines, and then seeing and then seeing what they're casting, and then you can. But that requires class knowledge, but still, that's something you can use. DPS uptime, that's a massive one. So your uptime doing damage is the best way to increase your damage. That sounds obvious, right? If you're hitting the boss for longer, you're doing more damage. That's generally another thing to check, really. But generally, I think people that are looking for people and recruitment, they're probably looking at the number first.
Yeah, I think that it kind of it feels so unforgiving at some points. If something actually happened and you died or whatever, I don't know what the fuck, something happened, and you get like the green parts or something, and then people kind of charge you because of that. And you kind of go forward to people saying, looking for group channel, like, oh my god, I parsed this because I'm dead. I'm sorry, okay? Just please recruit me.
Yeah, but like you said earlier, if you do like, if you have logged over like 100 kills, your medians would have normalized, and they would probably show, what's expected of you in any given raid, right? So I also do feel like people just look at the best perfect average instead of the median. I like looking at the median. I don't know if it's wrong, but I think that it paints a clearer picture over what I should expect of myself and of others, in any given situation. So it's like what Smashy said. You need to go like you need to basically go deeper. But you mentioned something about uptime, like casting uptime. How do you see that? Can you navigate me?
Yeah, of course. One moment. So the way I normally do this is I go on to a specific boss.
Right.
So I'm going to do it as well, so I know what I'm doing. So if you go damage done, you can see, obviously there's a table of everyone's damage, and then there's a column next to DPS called active.
Right.
So that's a percentage number, and that the higher the better. So if you're dead, most of the time if you're dead, you have a low active uptime. Now obviously Yaz mentioned if someone died and had a crap pass, that obviously sucks for that person. But I wouldn't. You'd know. You'd look at their damage uptime, and if it was like 10% or very low, you'd be like, right, okay, that person died. I wouldn't judge someone on pass from that. If they've only got one pass on the boss, that's tricky because that's their only pass. But generally, people have killed the boss more than once, so you could probably. It's like you said, though, the median is a good shout. Their best log is also a good shout because if someone can play that well, you can hone that, and you can make that more consistent. I think in a good guild at least.
Right.
Yeah. The thing though is, let's say you said for healers, because we all know that if a healer doesn't do his job, the guild is gonna wipe, right, or the raid. But it's not about the mechanics or the cooldowns or anything. So let's say the healer needs to do, he's gonna heal anyway, so he's gonna get parses, even when you have many healers or the boss kill time is good. But what about the DPS? Because some of the DPS, there's a difference. How do you describe a good parser or a good raider? Because there are DPS that are actually focusing on the parses instead of doing the mechanics. So who would you pick there?
Sure. Who would I pick? I'd pick both. I'd be greedy, I guess. The thing is, so to pass well, I know what you're saying, but the two aren't mutually exclusive. Generally, if someone's following the tactics correctly and passing, that can help you pass well. For instance, if I'm on a fight, it's like a dance, right? It's choreographed. You know what's coming, so you can plan. So if you know tactics very well, you can plan for the next part of the fight. Direct examples are Mimron. So if I'm on Mimron, I can see a shot blast coming out. I'm a melee. We do a specific tactic where the first shot blast, we move towards the door. So I'm going to position myself in a way where I'm moving towards the door at a shot blast rather than moving the opposite direction, because I'm going to get more damage up time when the boss moves towards the tank. So knowing the tactics can make you pass much better. You need to know the fight. So I don't think there's necessarily a good passer and a good mechanical player that can kill bosses. I think both of them together are very, very strong.
Yeah, I mean, but sorry, I guess.
Sorry.
But if you got a DPS does this just parsing 99s because he's just focusing on the boss only. He got the perfect cast up time. He got a 99 because he's only DPSing the boss, but he's shit all about mechanics. He doesn't turn to the ads and everything. Are you gonna check that, or not you specifically, but you? Or someone will just check the parses, like the 99s, is like, oh, he's such a good player, and all.
I think you can check that. I don't know if...
Yeah, you can. You can actually go to casts and see where the majority of their spells went.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Are people actually gonna look for it, or just gonna stick to the number? That's what I'm
That's
asking.
what I meant. Like, I think sometimes the parses shown in the first, like on the first main screen, are really unforgiving.
Mhm.
Like, one of the good fights that would go with this is Maggie in TBC when you had to set up people for clicking.
Okay.
And then if you had certain type of people, they would say, I'm not clicking because I'm parsing.
Well,
That's
fuck you.
away
Get out.
from my... Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, I gave you this job. You're gonna do that, okay? Next time, maybe you don't need to do that. You can then do the DPS on the boss. But I would be annoyed if someone would say, "No, I'm just gonna stand here and DPS the boss." Like, that's not cheating.
I feel like that needs to be weeded out by the guild. But you are right, 100%. You can't see that on logs, right? You can't see. The only way you'd see someone clicking an orb is their damage uptime would be lower. So that, yeah, sure, that would definitely be difficult to see. Maybe if that was me, I wouldn't be looking at logs where I knew that specific person probably got asked to do something. Or Magthodon's a very good example, because that is a boss where you can't really look at damage. If I'm passing on that boss, it's like a mini game for me, and I'd feel good about it. But I wouldn't, if I was looking for people, I probably wouldn't look at that boss. But it's a good show. Like, a more current one is Twins, right? Like that for me, I'd probably give Shadow Priests and Hunters a sort of pass, because they're obviously doing something that's more important than passing. And so go on.
One way to check that is actually using the replay. I use that quite a lot because when
I
we
love the
started
replay.
raiding, our stacking meant like we are spread around the path like to 20 meters. And I actually had to go to replay and take the screenshots and see this is not stacking. So if we go from the parses to what else the Warcraft Logs offers you, it's also these awesome replays where you can see where this person was standing at that exact moment, and then like, okay, well, he was clicking.
The replays are incredible. Yeah, I agree. So the replays are obviously, there's a function within Warcraft Logs where you can basically run the fight and it'll record people's positions. It's not perfect because it doesn't it only updates maybe once a second or something like that, but it might miss some blink movement or anything like that. So it's not 100% perfect, but it is it's really, really good for things like again, more current example with the Northern beast with the worms. You need to be positioned 10 yards away, and if you're not, you'll get poisoned. A lot of people get poisoned. That's bad. You can see the spread, and you can immediately analyze that and look at that and say, this is bad. We shouldn't be doing this. And the good thing about logs as well, which we haven't mentioned, is that they can be live logs, which means that while you're raiding, you can look at the fights as they go, which is very, very good. It's such a good tool.
Yeah, I mean, I keep using the replay a lot. I kept using it on Hodir to see where the storm buffs were going out, and to see where my position was in relative to the storm buff, and then make an educated guess essentially on whether or not I should have moved or I shouldn't have moved. I now use it for a noob to see how other mages are approaching their living bomb map time. Are they moving towards the ads when they spawn to living bomb them and then living bomb them again, or do they wait for the ads to come into their peripheral, then living bomb them, and then maybe living bomb them again? I think replay is one of the best functions that Warcraft Logs has to offer. It's crazy, actually. It's insane how many things you can see, like in the fight live happening.
Yep.
So
It's really
how
good.
do you handle it in Sholazar? Do you have a specific person that handles the logs and checks out for everyone, or you got the officers, looking for, or each other looking for themselves?
We're a little bit. So the GM is currently off at the moment because he's had a child. Congratulations to him.
Oh yeah,
or
congrats.
not. But we're a little bit low on. The officers are a little bit on the lower side, is what I'd say. The people who check the logs are the people that care, I suppose, and go in after. You get a lot of people do it. I wouldn't say there's someone specifically on it, although I think they are looking for someone like that.
Oh, I see.
But the raid leader does do it as well. He's very good. Dino, he's very, very, very good. But
are they paying?
I
take that as a job?
Maybe.
Since you're not an officer, how much responsibility do you see for an average Joe to take care of their own logs? Would you say that they kind of should go and check the logs after every raid and see how they improved or what they did wrong? Or I didn't ask you.
I'm sorry. I barged in. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll do it. Yes.
There you go.
So you keep that as it's a tool where you have the flasks and enchants and everything that is for the raiding. This is just one tool that everyone should be looking as a raider.
I think it's obviously it's personal preference, right? But if you want to be the best, in my opinion, the logs are fantastic tools. For instance, I play a warrior main. I've got a second warrior who I play as well. I've got a mage, a DK. I've got a boomkin. I've got a vet paladin. There's lots I don't have. I don't play all of them, but I play a decent amount of them. But the first thing that I'll do if I feel like I'm making mistakes, I'll go to the logs. I'll look at the best. I'll look at maybe 10 logs. The best is obviously, for going back to what we were saying before, the 99 parsers and the 100 parsers. They are doing something that's maybe cheesy, or maybe that they're comp stacking or anything like that, but they're still important to look at because they're obviously pressing the right button.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go to them and I'll look at their casts in a timeline and I'll see what they're pressing, their openers and everything like that. For instance, on the warrior, I looked at what the people were doing, and for instance, on the second boss, Lord Jaraxxus, they're trinket switching at the 25 seconds to go mark. There's a long RP. They trinket switch on the 25 seconds to go mark, and that delays your trinkets proccing for when the first set of ads come out, right? Because that's the general part of doing a lot of damage is you stack all of your buffs at the same time, and it's a multiplier. So when the ads show up, there's 3 targets where you can do big damage during your damage window. So that's something I learned from logs though, because I looked at buffs, I looked at when their trinkets were proccing, and I was like, okay, that's when they're doing this. It's after the Sunder time as well. So realistically, the trinkets are useless if you're Sunder stacking, which is me. Unfortunately, I'm the Sunder bitch. But
Really? Wow.
yeah. We had another warrior, but unfortunately he's quit. But yes, I'll be glad when the rogues get
He's
made to do exposed armor. What's that?
Will they ever get made to expose armor? 'Cause
Well,
I mean,
maybe not. I don't know. It's difficult. I think in certain situations it is actually beneficial for maybe if you've got like one warrior and the I think it's if you've got one warrior and the fight lasts less than X amount of time, let's call it maybe 2.5 minutes. It's probably better to expose. But I don't mind sundering. I can tell that the damage gain overall is probably more for the warriors. Are we've not took off yet. Blah blah blah. Maybe in ICC it'll be a little better. I don't know. We definitely obviously get better in ICC, but I don't know if that someone will do the maths. But yes, or we'll get a prop warrior and then we might have to sunder again. Happy day. Who am I kidding? It's meta.
If you're looking at 98 parses or 99 parses or 100, how much do you think that, like, would you, how do I rephrase this? Is there any side for luck? That something like, okay, I was just lucky to get this parse? Or is it all just pure exact right moment to push those buttons?
So, again, probably both. Is there a website you can have a look? Generally, I think crit's a very easy one for me. So obviously, I explained before, your crit can go up and down depending on the shorter the fight, the higher crit variance you can have. But you can see that in the logs. So I would immediately go to. You can look at the best logs, right, and see what they got, if they got lucky or not. Definitely, what I will say is to pass well, you need to perform consistently. You can't just you can't push the wrong buttons to pass extremely well. For the 99s, probably you can maybe make 1 or 2 mistakes, but generally you need to be pushing the correct buttons. But luck certainly is an aspect. Yeah, I'd say it is an outside. You're against everyone within that class, right? That's another thing to mention about log. So your pass will be within your class and spec. It won't be against other people, although you can do that. You can measure against other people. There's a leaderboard for max, like, with everyone on, but it's just a little fairer to be against the people within your spec because you're on the same start. Although gear, I guess there are eye level passes as well, so you can minimize gear, how much gear matters. But I this is what I say about gear eye level passes. It's probably the people that are trying to make themselves feel better about their pass who use eye level pass.
I was going to come with this as well. Like, how much would you rank the actual parse or the item level parse? Especially for a person who, well, obviously is not in the top gear yet. So, would you pay attention more to the parse itself or to the gear parse?
I was mostly joking. The eye level pass is still important. I'd probably look at both. That's something that you look at. You just do a flick and then go, okay, they're not passing. Maybe they're not passing so well. Main, are they passing better with eye level? If they are, then you can establish that they're probably undergeared. The tricky part with eye level passes is that specific items give.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what
more strength, right? Like, for instance, a greatness trinket is 200 eye level. That's still very, very good for certain classes, but that will drop their eye level. So if, say, for instance, if someone higher eye level hasn't got that trinket, it will perform. It's less value in that specific slot for the eye level. But it's certainly every piece of information is helpful. I would still say item level passes are important to look at if that is much higher than the normal pass.
I always thought that eye level passes are a bit finicky, especially due to what you just mentioned. I mean, you can have the same eye level with another person playing the same class as you, but your gear can be vastly different, right? So they could have like, let's say, better weapons or a better trinket, and then you have all the other weapons, and then you still have the same eye level. But I always had the feeling that, especially for DPS at least, I can't talk about healers or tanks. Weapons and trinkets play a bigger role than the other stuff that you have. If you were to separate them, because gear doesn't work that way, it works in unison. That's why you have sims and whatnot. But and also, if you have very high eye level, you're also competing with people who have very high eye level, and usually those are the above 95 people. So that will normally bring your eye level down because you're not in the same environment as they are. So I don't know. That was my estimate when it comes to eye level. Whenever I just saw them, that's what I was feeling about them.
I'd agree.
I always look at the both of the parses, especially if we have new people joined guild and the main raids. I always look at that because it's more good. It's more better if you have higher island level parse compared to the actual parse than if that's lower. Then it's like okay.
I mean, depends. You can just drop your eye level and bring like your third alt with, I don't know,
With my RP gear. I should
No,
go
I mean,
with RP gear.
yeah, with RP gear, and essentially get carried through the raid, and your eye level will probably be higher. Probably reach like a high 80 or 90 or more.
Finally, I have a way to beat Armorant. I'm gonna.
This is very funny you mentioned this because this happened on our first Algalon kill with my guild at the time. The mage forgot to equip his cloak, so he got a 100 eye level pass on Algalon. So that's definitely viable.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, and you can show everybody, hey, look at my eye level pass though.
The real tip.
I'm gonna frame that, put it to the fridge. Look what
That's the real tip right there, people. That's the real tip. That's what you should get out of this whole discussion.
I can feel it already. Spark is going to start raiding with the RP gear. Oh no. What did we start?
We've started some in. There's going to be people with items and equipped and everything.
Now everyone wants to go to AQ40 and get that fucking chest piece.
Rip POGC progression. Look, I wanted to. I don't know if you guys are okay with this, but I wanted to do basically a live rundown. If Smashy can do it. I wanted to link a page out of a player. I'm not going to say which player it is, and because I can't make the logs anonymous if it's the front page. I can only make the raid.
It's not my mage.
No, it's not your mage. I'm going to link it here in general channel, but don't mention who the player is, please. Smashy, if you would do us the honors and go through and explain to us the process of, I'm looking at this guy, how they're doing, and what is it that they're doing wrong. And we don't know the guy, so or the girl, so feel free to be as objective as you can be. You know what I mean?
Well, I hope this isn't me.
No, it's not you. It's not
you. You're kidding me.
Hey, we're not supposed to say who they are, okay? We're not supposed to say who they are, so stop.
So we did all this for that.
Oh my god!
It was a master plan. So hey, you know what? I'm okay with criticism. This is this is for me to get better. So Smash it, please tell me.
No, I'm a bit offended that you're actually wasting our podcast time to your own beliefs.
I'm not. We're using
an example, right?
We're using an example, a real life example.
This is very good. I mean, I can't. Right. Okay. So let's do it. I
Yeah,
rate
let's
this.
do
It's good. It's very, very good example. So, the first thing I look at, obviously, is your best percent.
The person's. Don't say the name.
The person's best percent. Exactly. Your hypothetical.
Mine
Of
hypothetically.
course.
Yeah, sure, let's go.
So purple, very, very good. I'd say that's the first thing I would look at. The next thing I look at is I'd probably go with the median, and that that's still okay. The best percent tells a lot for sure because there's variance on bosses. Generally, I'd say that's very good. I might then click into a boss. So
Cool.
I'd see Lord Jaraxxus as like a DPS. It's just a pure button check because the fight. Let's be honest, the fight is very, very straightforward. Yeah. So I'd probably go into that to see exactly like I'd look at the rest of the raid and I'd look at what raid DPS we're looking at, and I just see what we're dealing with how quick the fights can be. And it's a pretty decent raid. People are performing. The mages, so it's a mage we're looking at. So they're obviously going to be higher because of the spell steal. That's obviously a bit of fight knowledge coming in, but I think that's important to use as well. Again, if I was judging the mage, I'd also look at if the buffs are being stolen by a non-mage as well. That's fight knowledge. But you can check that in here. So I could go to dispels, and I can see a warlock has got 3 with devour magic. He's obviously got his Fell Hunter automatically dispelling them, which is grief in the mages. I'd slap the mage, the warlock for that, but that's fine. That's that's probably for another time. But yes, so you can tell that obviously you've both got a lot of buffs, which is very good. It's a lot of damage. I'd say this is pretty good. We know we're purple passing, so we know we're pushing buttons correctly.
What is it that we're not doing then?
Are you happy now? Oh, wait, we got more.
No, we keep going. So what do we not? So again, I'd probably check the kill time I'd probably compare the kill time with the best kill times. So we go to on the top left, we go to raids, Lord Jaraxxus rankings, and we can see the mages are topping, and the fight duration is 2 minutes, 1 minute 40. So that's much quicker than this fight we're specifically looking at for the example you've linked. So we accommodate for that, right? Like that's obviously a reason for why we're not. This person isn't doing like 99s. We can definitely say that for sure.
Yeah, but for this specific fight, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but for this specific fight, wouldn't it? Okay, that may be like way out of the deep end, but wouldn't it be more beneficial for the mage specifically if they were able to spell steal more and basically that was the question. Wouldn't it be more beneficial for the mage if they were able to spell steal more than higher the duration, the more rotations of spell stealing are happening.
Yeah, so you want for this fight specifically, you want more stacks, right? So there's 10 stacks to go on the boss, so you want 5 each.
You
ideally.
About the stacks, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, for sure, because obviously that's a mechanic, so you can tell if they know what they're doing by their spell stealing the buffs off, and then you can check if that took a long time. If they ignored it, maybe at the end when the boss is on 10% health. I've definitely seen that before. No, I'm not going to mention any names. But yes, so there's things you can check within that. You can also check if the mage is spending hot streak straight away, or if we're like wasting. That would probably be in buffs received, but there'll be tools. There'll probably be tools that build on top of the wall on the logs that we can find for that. But generally, if you want to get better, you just again maybe we could see your crit up time as well. The mage specifically is crit up time, so 61% crit on fireball. That's pretty good. So we're not, we can put it less down to luck and more down to probably kill time is what I'd say here if I was looking at this and I'd say, how can you get better? Kill time is definitely one of them. And then tactics, like what's the comp we're running? I'm guessing with 2 tanks. Oh, I could be guessing wrong, actually. I see 1 tank. It's very good. Yeah, we're pumping. That's good.
Sosmashy, would you trust Reddit to check up your parses?
Dude, I've so done that.
It sounds like a story here, a personal story.
Look, it helped us kill Algalon, though. Okay, so kudos to them.
I think the community can definitely help, but it has to be positive. Like, Reddit. I don't know. Reddit can be a little bit of a cesspit, I guess, sometimes, and same as the class discords as well. But the class discords are helpful for sure.
Yeah.
Before we
Let's do a healer.
Before we end, we have been going to the logs basically through the person, but the logs also held like tiny little page of the guild. Do you ever go and check up the guild page?
Oh, that's interesting. That's a great question.
So, sorry. The question is, if you're looking at someone, do I check the rest of their guild?
Mm-hmm. Like, do you ever go to the guilds page? Like,
I can't say.
All the guilds have their own page, with a
Sure.
bit of information of the guild. They have the rankings from different raids. They have the recruitments and contact information, the schedule and the composition and that kind of stuff as well, which is also a really nice tool, especially if you're looking for a guild. They have the function now with logs that you can just find easily a guild that is recruiting the class you need.
Yeah, the guild pages are fantastic. Yep, for sure. Same as the server. The server pages are also very, very good for seeing if you see a person with specific gear, or they're a pumper, and you can ask them in game as well, like tips. You can always look on the server Discord for that. The server page for that. But yeah, the guild pages are very good. You can also tell what sort of, if everyone's a pump, you can tell that that's their kill times are going to be a little bit quicker, and that also tells you stuff about the specific the person in question you're looking at. But yeah, the recruitment, everything about like the tool's very good. I remember World of Logs back in the day. This has been, it's obviously grew from all the past sort of tools. They've all learned from each other, and this is what we've got today. And there's so much good stuff on here. There's so many useful things. There's things that I haven't mentioned that I probably don't know so much of. There's stuff I haven't mentioned as well. Like, for instance, on Iron Council, we had some issues in our pug where the boss was dying too quickly, and you can literally you can select hit points and go damage by damage of what people did. So you get to like when the boss was maybe 15% or 10%, and you'd see the people that weren't stopping. Yeah, I can tell that. So one moment. So if you go to the boss in question,
right?
So and then you go to resources,
right?
And then by default hit points will show, and you'll see if you scroll down, you'll see what spell someone did on a certain boss. And the percentage HP of that boss.
I had no clue.
It's really, really useful. I came across this, and like I say, we used it for IC because obviously IC second boss, you have to stop damage if you haven't got a rune of power, and accidents would happen, and the boss would die, and then you look at this and say, so you hit this, you hit this, you hit this, you hit this, bad. And then we slap them, and then we carry on and solve that. But that's, again, it's less about calling people bad and more about this is our problems that we've got. This is how we fix them. It's pure analysis. The tools are great. It's not just for being toxic and calling out people that they've done stuff wrong. It's more about improvement and getting better and sort of getting better kills, killing bosses that you're stuck on. There's just so many things that can be used.
What do you think about personal logs that some guilds I've heard are using, like on 10 months, etc.? Like they just don't wanna, share. Even if it is a guild run, after all.
Private log. Did you say
The personal logs, the private ones.
the private ones? Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's people maybe running secret strats. So I don't know. To be honest, I'm not sure who. I've heard of some people private logging. I can't quite understand it myself, but I mean, if they're just using it as a tool, the one thing I would say that is a benefit to using private logs is that the situation we mentioned earlier about people focusing on parsing and sort of doing that more than mechanics and potentially ruining boss fight. We've all had it. It happens for sure. I think you mentioned it earlier, Amaranth, where someone would focus more on passing, maybe ignore ads, and that would cause a wipe. Now, in a private log, some people won't upload those logs, so you won't even register for passing, but they can still use the information to analyze each fight and make them and make them better. So that's potentially a pro for private log.
To be honest, I've never come across someone who would actually do zero mechanics whatsoever. Well, maybe one, now that I think about it. And just focus on what is it that Warcraft Logs decided that it's, is counting for that boss. I've come across more people that condemn those who actually use Warcraft Logs as a tool. They're like, oh yeah, you guys are parsers and you only focus on parse. I don't know. I don't like that. If I'm being honest, I feel like this mentality is kind of toxic. And by the way, I wanted to ask: were there logs like when Wrath was retail? Or
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, there
were?
was. World of Logs, it was. It doesn't exist these days. I specifically remember because I was this. This might not mean much, but I will say it anyway. I played a warrior back in ICC. I did a lot of damage. I got top 5 on certain bosses of all classes. That's something that I was very proud of. Maybe it was top 5 out of 5 though, but we won't dwell on that. But yes, it did exist back in the day for sure. It just wasn't. I don't think it was as mainstream as it is now because this logs have become like they're a mainstay for retail and for classic, and for good reason.
Almost 80% sure that there were logs because I remember when I got back to Classic this time, I went to check if there's any logs from my previous characters on Vanilla.
I mean, I
Yeah.
remember the guild logs, the guild ranking system, but I don't remember the personal logs.
I'm pretty sure they exist, but unfortunately they don't exist. No, they've got rid of all the information. I'm pretty sure it was what I was doing when I was doing the little research about so combat log when the combat log came in and things, which was original Sunwell. There were some pages mentioned, and World of Logs was one of them, and there was another one, but I can't remember what it was. But they definitely existed back then. But maybe it was. I don't think it was at all mainstream.
Right. Smashy, I could just do this for 2 more hours. I don't know. I really like it looking at logs because I may not be like very good at analyzing them, but I feel like the more you use the tool, the better you get at it, and the more you understand. So since we've been in where we are now, like an hour plus, before we close off, if there's something that if you could summarize like 5 tips that people can do when looking at logs, either theirs or other people's, to make a better understanding, and then give your shout outs to whoever you want.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shoutouts.
Shout outs. Yeah, I'll think of those while I'm coming up with the 5. So yes. So tips. Okay. So one thing I would say is that I would always try and be positive. Don't feel like people are attacking you when they say you've got bad logs, because that happens a lot. People get a little bit sad about that. I think if you're always positive and you can always improve, that's the mindset. If you want to improve, these tools are cracking for it, and you should try and don't see it as like a negative that people are saying maybe your logs aren't great and stuff. Just try and get better. There's definitely people to help, and these tools are definitely good as well. Again, I've already mentioned some tips, but I'm going to reiterate: combat uptime for DPS is a big one. Always be attacking. Always be, and try and think about what's happening in the fight. What's happening next? Where do I have to be next? And if you're unsure about what people are doing, watch the replay that was mentioned earlier as well, because you can see people's movement of the best people, the best passers, I guess, within your spec. And again, further iterate on that. Look at what they're doing with their casts, their openers, their cooldown usage. Are they pre-potting armor here and then later speed potting? Are they pre-potting speed? All the good stuff. It's been a bit light on healer advice. I'm sorry about that. I'm not really a healer. What I'd just maybe say,
Don't let people die.
don't let people die. Beg to get the best assignments. Beg for maybe less healers. If there's overheal, if you're doing nothing, maybe you can one heal less. It's mainly assignments and things, but obviously that's not to say you can't get good passes. It's just more tricky. You just have to heal people before the other person heals. It's a bit of a fight for healers, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not really the best person to ask because I never really heal, honestly.
Or heal pets.
But heal pets is very good. Yep, make sure pets are being shown.
Fire, then
Yeah, ask people to stand in the fire. True.
Yep.
That suits me as a Fury Warrior. I always ask for a Rage Puddle. That's very good.
Yeah, just like stand still in Cologarn and let Cologarn eye beam you, and let the healer just kill you.
One of the annoyingest things, as when I'm playing with laggy, like really laggy old computer, like this is the computer I played the vanilla version of this game. Okay, so my PC is old, and depending on the fight, the lags are also really long. So it's kind of impossible for me to heal the person when they are taking damage because someone already got their heal too when I'm still casting.
Oh my god, the DPS are actually doing mechanics. Now I can pause as a healer. What is this?
I'm sensing PTSD on Mimron. Maybe that's just a second.
Why don't you just stand in the fire? Please.
I mean, who likes Mimiron anyway?
It's fun if you know how to play the fight. It's actually very fun.
But what I will say is, the more you do a boss fight, the more comfortable you become with it, and the better you can probably perform. That's the beauty of having a wife that's very supportive and very nice. I get to raid a lot, and Mimron's easy peasy. We love Mimron.
Shout out to wife. First shout out of the night.
Big shout out, yeah. Big shout out to the wife.
What are the other shout outs?
Can we also shout out to
What do you want?
Shrug, the
Yes.
TM of SS? Oh, so Silverbacks. Because he was one of the persons that I think he was the last link before I contacted you when I was asking, like, who knows about the logs? And I know your guild really good. I have good friends in there, and I know that the guild is really good parsing and everything. So it was natural to ask from them. And all they
shout out to Salm as well. It's I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. It's Salmosea. I'm not sure. The social what's your title? God, I'm screwing this up. Yes, please stop me. Just
What the
stop
fuck
me.
are you doing?
I'm trying to shout out to
Okay, let's do a
from Some Eternal.
let's do a shout out to the person whose logs we were looking at.
Yes, shout out to them. They're great. They can be better.
Massive
Always
prompt.
strive to improve. Let's
Big
do
purple
that.
logs. Very good.
I
Big-
think you should
big-
have picks up something more, but it's fine.
It's
Or
fine.
even like have 2 people. Maybe one of those grey parses like the
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, I believe. All right, I believe.
Oh no.
Yes.
There we go.
Hello. Sorry. Yes. It's shout out to Git Frog. Yeah. Hopefully he's doing well. Family's well. That's it, really. I guess. Shout out to anyone that listens. Thank you very much for dealing with my stuff.
Can we say to people that they can contact you if they want to?
I
mean,
to
sure.
the logs.
I'm not sure.
You can pay by the hour. By the way, you can get paid by the hour. I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know, 50 sounds a really good price.
It's been a pleasure to be here without pay. I'll add.
Thank you for
Smashy, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the tips. Thanks to everybody who mediated to make this happen. Smashy is a great player. He has been his top 10 in his warrior in phase 2 in Ulduar in both of his warriors actually. The main and the alt. So, you heard it from a guy who actually likes to challenge himself. We'll see you on the next episode, hopefully. Share this one if you liked it so that we can maybe get some, I don't know, ads coming in so that we can buy Yaz a new computer or new PC. So that she stops using her computer as an excuse for her performance.
Yeah, that would be so bad. Imagine when I have been always telling people about the lag. I have actually taken videos of that as well, like to prove, see, this is the lag I'm dealing with. And if I would actually get a better computer, then people would accept me to do better.
You can still lie. It's okay. You can still do that.
No, but what if my healing goes worse?
Wow, imagine that. It's hard to imagine it, but imagine it. Anyway, shout out to Armorath as well, silent as ever. And
there's only one thing to say.
Oh.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Get good scrubs.
Yeah, get good. That's it. Bye-bye.
Bye.